Hollywood Happy Hour, Episode 2. Here we go. Okay, quick update since our last episode. Zedrick, talk about the Wisdom Tree and what happened with it real quick.
Oh, yeah, sure. So the Wisdom Tree screened at the film festival that I mentioned last time on location, the LA Video Project. And, it won an award.
The Audience Award, right?
Yeah, they gave out a few awards. No, it's an honorable mention award.
Oh.
I know it sounds like an award they give to everyone, but no. They give it to a few of the films and stuff. But we weren't expecting to win anything really. So it was really cool to win that award, and just the audience response that the people were giving us, we thought were really cool, and especially it was directed by my friend Megan Berendt, who I think was the only female filmmaker to win an award.
Oh, wow.
I have to double check on that fact, but granted, she is if she's not the only one, she's one of the very few female directors that won an award for that award.
That's such a big deal. I mean, it's still amazing how few female directors there are that are getting noticed. I mean, I remember when I was in South Bend coming up, there was this. Oh no, I'm not going to remember her name. Shoot. Well, she was this really great female director who I think she went to AFI and everything, and she won all these awards, and she's working steadily now, which is awesome. But yeah, it's so good to see female directors getting something. I think I saw my acting buddy Deji had a film there. Does that name sound familiar?
Oh, no way. It doesn't. No.
Okay.
Do you know what the name of his film was?
No. See, I don't know anything right now. Well, okay, so let me look up the name of that female director real quick, and I'll look up Deji's film too. But real quickly, tell everybody the. Can you talk about what just happened for you? Because this won't come up for like another week.
Right. I don't think I can. I mean, I'll speak
Allude to
in
it.
vague terms.
Yeah, vague. Things get a little bit hairy.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm allowed to reveal anything yet, but I did land a part in a cable drama. Mm-hmm. I had been pinned on it for the last 3 weeks, and they finally said...
and you doing a drama is a bit of a transformation for you as an actor.
I guess not necessarily.
I'm just trying to drop words that have to do with what it is. And
oh, yeah. No, don't even hint at it. I may get in trouble. That was good, though. Good job, man.
Well, I said another... Yeah, so anyway. Yeah. But, you booked a co-star.
Yeah.
And that's the first TV role of the fall season so far, right?
Yeah, my first TV role this year, actually. And
I loved what you posted on Facebook. Talk about that real quick.
What I had posted. Oh, yeah. So last year I made a post on Facebook talking about just setting a goal for myself that by this time next year I will not have a day job anymore and just be making acting solely from what did I say? Make money solely just from acting jobs.
And this is, just last week we recorded our first podcast and you referred to yourself as a semi-working actor, and I would say now you definitely feel like you're a working actor now. As frequently as you've been getting work, which is awesome. I mean, how many things have you booked this year so far?
A good amount. I got those 2 commercials, that movie, a few student projects.
At AFI?
At the American Film Institute, yeah. And then, now this drama that I'm going to be shooting next week. So, I'm very excited and very blessed that it has happened. I set out that goal for myself last year, and it was something that I actually ended up achieving, like, this last May. And I wrote that status, like, October of last year. And, I ended up achieving that far sooner than I thought I would. So I was very... very excited that had occurred.
Right on. So I looked it up. The female director, her name is Davy Snively, and she's actually really, really talented. Like, I remember her, I think it was her AFI thesis film. It was like this girl who is being, death, like what we think of as like the Black Cloak with the bone fingers and the Reaper is the babysitter. I think it's called Death is the Babysitter or something like that. It was amazing for even by thesis film standards. So she was really talented. All right, so I just pulled up Deiji's photo. He's definitely there at New Filmmakers LA, but I don't know if it was the on location one that you had.
Yeah, no, I was. Which one is him?
This one with the red tie.
I was totally talking to him. Yeah,
really.
No, he was really nice. Like him and his crew. They did this movie or this short film called "It's Vine by Me," and they did such a good job. A lot of people loved it. And they came up to us and complimented us on our film. We were like, "What? We like your film?" And yeah, we just started talking and stuff. And they were really cool people.
That's another instance of how small LA really is.
Yeah.
I mean, and that what's so funny is I met him. I was working as a first AD, an assistant director on it was a PSA with Rob Lowe and Maria Shriver and CBS's Jim Nantz, the voice of sports, and he was a PA on that, and he had just moved down to California from Oregon, because he was working on Portlandia as a PA there, and so we stayed in contact. I took his first round of headshots in LA, and now he's doing this It's Vine by Me thing, and he's a Viner.
Yeah.
And you should actually go follow him, and he'll follow you back. I'm sure he's a really nice guy, especially once I connect you two and say, hey, now you guys definitely know each other, and I'm sure we'll all work together. But he's got like 20,000 followers already on Vine, and he's continuing to grow, and he's pretty consistent with it. So it's amazing, dude. Watching people grow in front of you, and I just, the thing that I personally really like is anytime I can help people get further, or I hear Barney shaking. That's my dog Barney. Anytime I can help people go further, because I think it's a good mentality to have, and like I've noticed that you on your blog and on like Stage 32 and things like that, you frequently write about being kind to one another and things of that nature. I think it's very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's just such a hard industry to get into, and I make it a point to be very vocal about the fact that we have to be good to ourselves, we have to be good to each other, and it's because it's tough out here,
Oh man, it's incredibly tough. But and I know for me personally, I feel like I haven't gotten a ton of help, and I don't know. I could think on hours about is it my fault, whatever. But I just think, it's like when we were little kids in kindergarten, and they're like, "What do unto others, as you want done to you." And I think that applies in this business more than any other one.
Yeah.
And my dream was always, I grew up watching. My favorite directors were, the Scorsese, Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas crew, and they all came up together, and the reason they all came up so quickly is because they all helped each other, and I think that I don't really see that as much, and maybe it's only in my personal experience that I haven't gotten the opportunity to see enough of that, but I've also tried to build that group myself, and it's very difficult to get people who are that loyal to a fault almost to stick by you, and also most people are loyal and kind deep down, but the tough part is having the same vision or not feeling too competitive. You got to find that right balance, that right cocktail of people. But I think if you have a bunch of people together, there's nothing that you can't accomplish.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, so real quick, I'm just gonna plug some stuff that I've been working on. Obviously, me and Zedrick are on Vine, and we're doing our Vine thing pretty heavy. Zedrick actually got me into it. I've written in my blog on Tumblr, wrote about how I didn't really think much of vining. I didn't want to lower myself to acting for 6.5 seconds at a time. but I've gotten so addicted to it. I missed one day in like the last month.
Wow.
And had a heart attack. I was freaking out. Because you start doing these things and you start seeing momentum pick up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you drop the ball for even one day, you feel like, well, they're gonna forget about me, or your momentum's not gonna go as quickly. But I mean, yeah, I'm loving the Vine thing. I just started a vlog, and I don't know, did I tell you about this?
I saw your post on Facebook. I watched it. So
What'd you think of it?
It's good. It's very helpful to new actors and all that stuff.
That's the whole point. It's like for you. I mean, it's gonna do, unless you really enjoy watching my face talk to a camera, it's not gonna be so mind blowing for you. But I think, for a brand new actor, and I said this in the vlog, is that I was getting it a lot. People ask me all the time, like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets kind of monotonous and a little. I don't want to say aggravating, because I'm not aggravated at the people who are asking me for advice or help or whatever. It's just I've never been smart enough to just write out everything so that I could cut and paste it into a message and let them know everything.
Yeah.
But also, I think for one, it's just a fun creative outlet for me to be able to make something. But I think also, I can give more in a video with my emphasis on inflection, et cetera, than I can just writing out a one-page Word document saying, here's how you get started or whatever. So anyway, so I'm doing that. We just started that, so check that out. And now here we are with episode 2 of Hollywood Happy Hour. So it's been busy. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
All right. So this episode is dedicated to Zedrick interviewing me. So I'm going to let him take over and start drilling me with questions. Go.
All right.
Hit me.
Sure thing. Let's just start with it's as if we've been talking all this time, and just start in the middle. What audition are you heading over to today?
Well, today I have an AFI thesis film audition. AFI is, in my opinion, it's the best film school there is. I know that USC likes to say that they're the best, but I've done student films for a long time, and I've pretty much done them. I've done them at Chapman. I've done them at the Art Center in Pasadena. I've done them at USC. A ton of them at USC, and I've done them at AFI. And I got to say, by far, AFI, those are the most professional film students I've ever seen in my life. USC, I don't know if their program is slipping or what it is, but AFI is pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, I'm just auditioning for this thesis film, playing white boy with swagger.
Nice.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
Right. So let's say for actors that are just starting out, what would you say is the value, or I guess the importance of doing student films? Like, what can they gain from that? What can they get out of that?
Well, first of all, I mean, I for a while there, I stopped doing student films because I figured in my head, I'm like, well, one, we're working for no pay. And especially once I went union, I'm like, I'm working for no pay. It's really hard to, spend all the gas money and the headshots and the this and the that and the parking meters and go in the traffic and be aggravated. But even for people at our level who are union and work fairly consistently, I still think there's value in it. But specifically for a beginning actor, I mean, it's everything. I was just thinking back today about being in Indiana, and I would drive to Chicago 4 times a week, which is about an hour and a half away, to do student films because I wanted the experience that bad. And I got to tell you, I was able to learn so much about how to act on camera that, you can see if you watched from the first film that I ever made and watched every single film that I've made. And I think I've worked on, as an actor, probably 60 or 70 short films. I mean,
wow.
It's been a lot, and I think it's absolutely worth it, and it's fun. A lot of it hasn't been released. Thank goodness, because I wasn't good in many of them, because I was just experimenting with my craft. And that's why it's so good, is because sometimes students will be very proud of their work and they'll want to put it in film festivals, and maybe maybe you don't think that you were good in that film, and other students don't. They just bury it, and it's part of their portfolio, and it's part of their reel or whatever, but they're not celebrating it and putting it on IMDb and going out to film festivals and putting it on YouTube. Some people just let them disappear kind of forever.
Right.
Sometimes that's kind of been a bad thing for me, because I've seen some of the short films, student films that I've done, or short films. It's happened with short films too. But I've seen some of them. Some of them were absolutely amazing. There's this one I did back in Indiana, and I mean, it looked amazing. I mean, it was really professional. It was a great script. It was one of the first films that I felt like I was actually good in, and the guy never even finished editing it.
Wow.
He never released it.
Yeah.
Which has happened to me with feature films too. I mean, there's been 2 of the feature films that I've done that haven't been released yet, and it's been 5 years, so it's tough, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I've got stuff that I haven't finished editing either, but I still have the intention of releasing it, and I will soon, even if I have to hire an editor. But I mean, going back to what your question was, is it beneficial? Oh man, absolutely. Because I mean, I've spent time in classes, but until you get in front of that camera, if you want to be a film or TV actor or a commercial actor, until you get in front of that camera, you're not gonna, just going to class isn't gonna do it.
Yeah,
it's not gonna do it. I know actors who have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and now I'm not knocking being in class. Everyone should be in class. You need to do both. But I've seen people who have just done acting class and they get in front of the camera and they freeze, or they don't have good camera technique. And I don't think people realize how much technique goes into performing for that camera.
Right.
Because first you've got to learn to be subtle. You keep whittling yourself down. Basically, is the way that I think of it. You start out really big, especially, and I don't know if you were like this, but for me, I came from the theater, and so, especially when I would do comedies, I was all over the place. I literally called that style of acting my buffoon acting, because it was just out there, man. And granted, it was funny, and some of it worked, but it worked on a short film sketch level. It would not work on, like, let's say, a Judd Apatow feature film level. I would have looked like an idiot. So, I mean, you just got to keep getting in front of that camera. And I mean, I'm still, like I said, I've done all those short films, spec commercials, student films, feature. I'm still learning how to act in front of that camera. That camera is so, it's cliche, but it does see everything. And if you have any bit of artifice coming from you, it picks it up and sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Especially when you are watching yourself, when you're lying. Maybe you can get away with it with some people, but the camera knows it and you know it.
Yeah.
And for me, that drives me crazy. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, I think everyone should do student films and do as many of them as you can. There's no reason not to. I mean, there's some actors who don't do it because you don't get paid. There's some actors who don't do it because maybe they feel it's beneath them, or, sometimes it's hard. I will say sometimes it's hard because you will a lot of times get directors who, A, don't know how to talk to actors. They don't know what they want. They came to set unprepared. The crafty sucks. Like we said, you're not getting paid. You're actually paying to be in it because you're paying gas money. You're paying to give them your headshot. You're paying, so by the time you audition and do 3 days of shooting, what are you down? Like $100 to do a film, But also, some people need footage, and that's the way you get footage.
Exactly,
I mean, for me, I shot my own footage because I am a director and a producer and a writer as well, and an editor. So I just made a lot of my own stuff. But sometimes I have pulled from them too. So, it depends. But I don't see any negatives of it really. If you got money in the bank and you can afford to do it and you believe in the script. The one piece of advice that I will say is find out what camera they're using and ask if you can read the full script ahead of time. If you can get away with that, some directors will be like, we don't know, we haven't rented it yet, and no, you can't read the whole script. For me, because I've done so many at this point, if they won't let me read the script, I won't even audition.
Right.
that's kind of a dick move, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to. I want to stay busy with things that stimulate me and make me feel like I'm expressing something and not just be part of something that would aggravate me and that's why they pay us, so they can aggravate us.
Yeah.
Who said that? Somebody said they don't pay me for acting, they pay me for waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who said it. I thought that was genius. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. And yeah, and just going back to what you said about doing student films to get footage, like yeah, that's definitely a very smart move business wise and strategic in a strategic sense, because especially when you're a new actor and you're looking to land an agent or a manager, yeah, they're gonna want to see a demo reel. Sometimes even more than the headshot or the resume, they want to see a demo reel because they want to see how you are in front of the camera. They want to see how you are, how you act on camera with a scene partner.
Chemistry.
Yeah, and they need that kind of.
Dude, you're so right. You could walk into an agent's office without your resume and headshot and hand them a demo reel, and that would be more important than, if you walked in there with a headshot and a resume, they'd be like, this isn't enough.
Yeah, yeah.
But they could say, hey, go print me a headshot and a resume off.
Right,
no problem.
right.
They would still take you, probably not as seriously because you didn't show up prepared, but they would take you more seriously. That demo reel is the most important thing. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I remember how hard you and I were trying back in the day to scramble to get demo reels together. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. It seems like so long ago. I felt like we were trying extremely hard to get those demo reels together, and then we got them together, and then it was like, okay, now we had to try so hard to get union, let's get SAG eligible, and then let's get union. It's so funny, the progression. And now, I don't feel as panicked about finding demo reel footage. I feel like we both shoot enough now that we get enough footage in that we can easily keep making new reels. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, no, definitely. We're very fortunate that we're at a point in our careers where, something of our work will get released. We'll get footage from it. We'll add to the reel, and and hopefully it keeps opening up more doors for us and all of that stuff. But
that's the other thing too. I don't know how you feel about it, but I always the one thing I always tell myself to keep me like confident in doing student films is like you never know if you're acting for the next Spielberg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a story, Don Cheadle did an AFI thesis film with I am bad with names today. Richard Franklin? Is that it? Oh, I'll have to look it up. Anyway, this guy directed this AFI thesis film, and Don Cheadle acted in it. And like 7, 8, 9 years later, he's directing Devil in a Blue Dress with Denzel Washington, and they're looking for the character of Mouse.
Right.
And the director at first didn't think Don was right for it, and then they, by happenstance, saw each other at the dentist's office. And then they went to lunch right after that, and the director flat out said, Rich Franklin, I'm pretty sure is his name. I'm about 90% certain now. And he looks at Don and he says, I don't think you're right for this part, right? And Don's like, yeah, that's why you didn't call me in. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
And he says, well, why don't you come over anyway? And so he goes in and auditions for it, and Denzel was there. And Denzel's like, are you fucking crazy? Don is Mouse. Give him the part.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, Denzel says he's Mouse, so he's Mouse, Denzel was Denzel back then, so... But yeah, you never know when something like that's going to happen. I mean...
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough, and I don't know if you've had this at all, but like my buddy Michael Schwartz, I was in his first student film at USC, and I've worked with him like 8 times since then.
Oh, nice,
on different projects. I mean, at least 8, I think. He keeps bringing me back, and like he writes specifically with me in mind. And that kid is so determined. Like he's one of those people that I'm like, okay, I got to keep him close because he is going to be the next J.J. Abrams or whatever it is, and I want him to remember me when he's ready to make Star Wars Episode 11.
Yeah.
Have you had that kind of relationship with a director yet? Other than me?
Yeah, no, not so much a director, but
like
casting directors. I mean, aside from you. But yeah, like I've had casting directors that have brought me in multiple times for their office, and not just in one show, but like on multiple shows. I've had casting offices that have yet to cast me, but have brought me in. There's this one casting office they brought me in. It has to have been 10 times by now. Wow. Within the last 2 years. And nope, still haven't been cast, but they keep bringing me
They
back.
obviously love you, though. I mean, that's all there is to it, is that you're the go-to for that, whatever it is.
Yeah, and and that too, and it's not just like one.
And I don't think they're specifically
role,
trying to waste your time either. They're not. They're not like, oh, we'll bring him in, maybe he'll get the role. They're like That's the thing that I think what you're about to hit at is like actors need to remember is like those casting directors want you to get the role.
Oh yeah.
If they ask you to come in, they want you to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been I've been very fortunate that some casting directors have done that with me, and hope to keep that going. Yeah. But you touched upon it a little bit earlier as far as like taking classes. What classes are you taking right now?
Lots of them. I meant to tell you this. I'm glad I'm telling you on microphone because now it's a fun little thing. I finally signed up for the Groundlings audition. Now that I've done, because I did, just telling everyone, I did UCB 101. Chris Berube, who runs the Next Stage Theater on Hollywood in La Brea, has a free improv workshop every Monday at 8. And I go to that semi-frequently. If I'm feeling like, hey, I got nothing to do at 8 o'clock on a Monday, I show up and I'll go play. I did a couple workshops at Groundlings. I did the intro to improv workshop like you did. And then I just did a character workshop where we worked on voice and like characterization. It was really, really fun. Probably top of next year, I'll probably jump into basic, but I'm going to audition for that right now. I go to this networking event in Hollywood at the Writers Guild. I just signed up for Killian's commercial workshop. I'll be doing that. Of course, I keep doing, anytime I find something on the SAG Foundation events website, I go to that, whether it's a voice class or whatever. So but that's always like tentative, it's always like, because they pop up and it's like, okay, I'm available, I can do this. But, and I need to really focus on getting into these SAG conservatory classes while they're still going on.
Yeah.
I've kind of dropped the ball on that because I've been so busy, but I want to do that. But and I have a few audits I want to do. I like to stay busy and stay in classes as much as possible. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on right now. I wanted to do BGB Studios like what you talked about because you studied there.
Yeah.
And those teachers there all cast Masters of Sex. Mm-hmm. So that's a plus. So anyone listening, if you're looking for an audition class, go there because it's good training.
Yeah.
And you're going to get trained by the people who are casting a TV show, and there's obviously no promise of them bringing you in for an audition. But I know personally 2 people who have been brought in and gotten roles on the show who were students of that school. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go there, but it didn't work out with my schedule. Because for some reason, dude, I have no idea why, but Thursdays for the rest of the year are just full. I don't know why. Like, that's like the only, so I saw Wednesdays worked, so that worked out for Killian's commercial class. So, I'm doing that, and I think I'll go to BGB after that, and then I think I want to do, probably top of the year, I want to get into doing the Groundlings level 1.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, out of all of the training that you've done so far, and maybe some of them you've mentioned, can you pinpoint to one or a few that has had a profound impact on your acting?
Ben Davis, easily. I did a play. Here's like the whole story on this. His class is called Practicum, and Ben Davis teaches at Ivana Chubbuck's. He's one of her main teachers. And he was kind of, I don't want to say, I'm not going to put words in the guy's mouth, but Ivana has her own method. And he wanted to try something different as a teacher. So he asked a few of us actors, do we want to get together and start a class together? And we all said yeah. And so we started meeting up at the Elephant Theater. And we didn't want to just do a scene study class because we had all done that, and we wanted to do scenes, but we didn't just want to do scenes.
Yeah.
So we all started figuring out what the dynamic of the class was. So even though Ben was our leader and our teacher, we were all dictating what is this class going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all very comfortable with each other and believed in each other's abilities. So the students gave feedback, which normally drives me up the fucking wall, you know, because I don't like getting hit from a bunch of different places with completely different ideas that aren't focused, because that's what happens sometimes. And sometimes, you know, the students aren't teachers, so they don't really know how to say constructive things to you that will unlock, because that's all you're doing is trying to unlock the talent inside of you.
Right.
When you go to these classes. So sometimes if they let the students talk too much, it gets a little out of hand. So I like to normally just hear from the teacher, but this class was so perfect because they would tell me certain things that would work for me. And Ben would obviously do that way more than the students, just because he's such an experienced teacher and he's so wonderful. But yeah, I mean, that class was huge for me because, I mean, they showed me a bunch of things. The most important thing I got out of that class, though, was Ben said, and I don't know what I just watched. I think I was putting something up on YouTube, an old film I did, and I listened to my voice, and I said, my voice sounds different. And then I remembered this class that I did with Ben, and Ben said, there's something with your voice it's like all of your voice isn't coming out. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, it is. I'm not, like, holding any in. I'm not, like, hiding my voice. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And then I was watching on the SAG Foundation, they do those interviews, you know, and they did one with the great acting teacher Larry Moss, who I'm obsessed with and want to train with him, but he's super expensive, so I'll you know, eventually just take a loan out so that I can work with the guy. But he trains DiCaprio, so I think he's doing all right as a teacher. But in that, he talked about Rowena Ballas, who's this voice teacher. And I've had voice teachers before, but it was specifically for singing. Mm-hmm. So I go to Rowena, and she says the same thing. She's like, "Oh, you got some kind of weird blockage thing," and I was like, "That's very interesting." You know, I didn't know what it was, where it was coming from, and she started talking to me about chakras, and we did some exercises, and I just kept practicing them, and now I can hear a big difference in my voice. And also, I've taken a lot of the classes for voiceover, so I think that's helped a lot too. Helped experiment with my voice and figure out control and things like that. And you know, it's all a work in progress. I'm still working on it. But anyway, I'm glad I got to work on that, and I'm glad that, you know, going to a good teacher, he was able to tell me that I needed to go somewhere else. You know, he wasn't selfish about, like, my money necessarily, right? He totally could have been. He could have been like, "Oh, well, you know, you'll figure it out. Just keep coming to my class." He was like, "No, go see a voice teacher." And I'm glad I did, you know. And I want to keep going back to that lady. She's great. I'd recommend Ben. I'd recommend Rowena. You know, I've been fortunate enough to find good teachers. And I just love acting classes. I mean, I love classes of all kinds of things. I just love getting better and better as a human being at whatever it is that I'm doing. So, how about you? What are your favorites that you've done?
Let's see. The most Groundlings has definitely had a very positive effect on me. Up my confidence and all of that, because for the longest time,
take me through, like, what level 1 was like. I mean, tell me what you worked on, because I mean, I did level 1 of UCB as you did. Yeah. But I didn't not doing that yet. What can be expected from level 1?
Level 1 of Groundlings. Well, they teach you the specific Groundlings method, which is it's improv by way of creating characters. So they really want you to establish who, what, where, when, and all that stuff, and they, like, really drill that into you. And they are hard on you, which I like. And I feel like since you have to audition for it, the caliber of talent that goes in, the chances of it are higher. So you're playing with people that are very, very talented. Like, I've met a lot of really talented people there. But yeah, no, Groundlings had a really good impact on me. I'm currently taking their intermediate class, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You're taking that right now?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I thought I'd mentioned that too. Yeah, I'm taking the
You don't
intermediate
tell me
class
anything
right now.
anymore. What's happened to us? That's awesome. So how is the intermediate level way harder?
Yeah. Especially in the intermediate level. Oh yeah, they're definitely much harder on us. They call us out on the things that we are not doing well.
But that's
Or
good.
even-
That's what they should do.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason to yell at people and scream at people,
Yeah.
but holy
And
shit.
no,
you know?
they don't yell and scream, but
No.
they call us out.
I mean, there
they're
are
not
teachers, and I hate when
assholes,
actors who are like, what do you call it? What do you call that? When you beat on yourself? Self-masochistic or something? Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. But they're like, no, I want my teacher to make me cry and make me feel like shit. Why?
That's weird.
That's not good.
I don't get that.
You're not acting for a healthy reason then.
There's some issues at play there.
Maybe stop acting and just go to therapy and make that happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, what I want to talk about real quick is the difference between Groundlings and UCB. For me, I mean, UCB is a great school.
Yeah.
But it didn't fit me as a performer, as an artist, because basically, to me, what the differences are between Groundlings from my very limited experience at Groundlings and my very limited experience with UCB is that it's just the difference between Groundlings is all about characterization.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, more fun because that's what I was as a kid. I would go steal my grandfather's glasses and his pipe, and I had makeup from plays and stuff, and we would go make silly videos, and I would develop these weird characters. I had this old man character, I remember I had this like Italian chef who keeps sneezing in all of the food, and I was developing characters like you do at Groundlings back then, and like to me, my first dream was being on SNL and doing crazy characters like what I was seeing in those sketches, and that seems to be what Groundlings is. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the school I should go to. And why I still haven't done level 1 after 4.5 years in LA is beyond me, because my mentor, Mark Moriarty, said, hey, the school that you need to go to is Groundlings. So when you get out there, go to Groundlings. And I was like, yeah, okay. Think I know everything, And then I still haven't been there, but except for my couple workshops. And then UCB, I felt personally, it constricted me from I think I have a bit of a natural gift of improvisation. I could be completely fucking wrong, but I felt like that constricted me because it's all about learning rules to a game. And personally, I didn't want to pay all that money to learn rules on how to play their game.
Right.
Because that's all it was to me. Improvisation within their game rules. So I didn't like that. How do you feel about it? And do you think there are other differences between the schools?
That pretty much hits it. At least from my understanding, although I haven't, it's been like a couple years since I last took a UCB class.
Did you only do level 1 there?
I only did level 1. Yeah. And they're all about the game, and
the Herald.
Yeah. But I enjoyed my time there. Met a lot of really talented people, and I know a lot of people that that method works super well for them. And I know a few people that do shows there, and they're fantastic. They're hilarious and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just a matter of who you are as an actor and which method you connect with. And I just connect with the Groundlings method much more because I'm a goofball. Although I don't sound like it. At least when I improv, it's you and I have never been in an improvisation class together. We've never been in any class together other than like workshops, right? That's true. Yeah. Just casting director workshops.
Huh. And I don't think have we done scenes together at these workshops? I don't think we have. Nope. We've only acted together on film a couple of times even.
Yeah.
That's so weird because I've directed you a lot but not been in the scene with you.
Yeah. Oh, funny.
That's so weird. We need to work together more as actors, I think.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's not true though. We did our play, Nuclear.
Yeah.
Which we need to figure out if we're taking to the Fringe Festival next year. And what else? We did a couple of shorts that didn't get released because they were just exercises. Yeah, we need to do more stuff. Anyway, so I mean, for both of us, I think we're saying thumbs up Groundlings, thumbs down UCB, but that's just our preference. Like you said, there are tons of talented people at UCB. Tons of people have had careers coming out of UCB. Tons of people love UCB over Groundlings.
Yeah, and it's
but not. It doesn't really fit us, I guess.
yeah, and having listened to this, don't just shut out UCB from from your options. 'Cause
Oh no,
really,
I'm glad we both went to
yeah,
level 1 there to
yeah.
figure out what it was.
Exactly. Yeah. Like yeah, really know yourself as an actor, and then yeah.
Plus, no
check
training
out,
is a waste.
Exactly. Yeah. Check out UCB. Check out Groundlings, because either way, your agencies, especially your commercial agencies, will make you take classes at either of these schools, because casting directors specifically want improv training on your resume when they bring you in.
That's a good thing to talk about.
It's gonna happen. So
that's a good,
just do it.
I think, I remember when because you took UCB before me, and I remember you saying to me, you're like, I put UCB on my resume, and I'm getting way more auditions now. And I said, oh, really?
Yeah.
And then I went to UCB and put it on my resume, and I started getting way more auditions. I mean, that is, I think, of all, because there's so many scene study classes, and it's like, scene study, great. I'm glad you can do scenes, but, they want to know that you're improvisational and can roll with the punches and not waste time. Because
right.
that's what I think the whole idea is for them, is like, okay, this kid's going to be able to go in under a tight schedule and just roll with the punches.
Yeah.
You got 3 takes, and you're not going to screw them up because you're going to improv around the mistakes and make it work, or whatever it is. And I think that's why that's the most important one. I think, obviously, commercially, they want to see a commercial class. And I think the 3 most important to have on there, scene study is great, but you definitely need to have on your resume improvisation, on camera, commercial if you want to do commercials. So improv, audition, on camera, commercial, and scene study. Those are the 5 categories that you need to have on your resume to, really, put the confidence in the casting directors should you not have all the credits in the world.
Right. Exactly.
But don't just go to a scene study. It's, again, what I was saying. Don't just go to scene study class and stay with one scene study teacher and think that's enough. It's not enough, and it's not good for you to just stay. Now, there's also something I want to say about scene study classes. Don't just go for 1 month and leave, because your scene study teacher is not going to get to know you well enough to be able to do what Ben did for me. It took months before Ben was like, hey, go get this fixed. Or, hey, think about this. He would hand me things. I'm really plugging this guy today, but he handed me from Michael Chekhov's book, Psychological Gesture. That broke open so much for me to make me feel free, because he could tell, like, I was training myself, for camera, so I was being very still. But he's like, no, you still need to gesture and gesticulate. So, so it's good to stay in a scene study class, but you don't want to stay at just one place. And it's okay if you have, like, this is the guy that I'm going to go to, or the lady that I'm going to go to for the rest of my life as my scene study coach. She or he is my coach. But, go to other people too and get the other. It's like when you go to a doctor and then you go to a second doctor to get another what do they say? Not a recommendation. Another opinion, a second opinion.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, because that's what these acting teachers are. They're your acting doctors.
Yeah.
And they've got to give you a good diagnosis and fill out your prescription and tell you what you need to do. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that whole business.
Cool. And during this particular episode, I especially want to ask you about a movie that you have coming up that is currently generating already a considerable amount of buzz.
Right.
So go ahead and talk about this.
Bozo, the biopic.
We're very excited about this one.
Do you think they'll ever do a biopic on Bozo?
No.
They should, but it should be, like, really twisted and creepy.
Yeah.
Anyway. The film that I did, I filmed it last summer. It's called Until Forever. It is generating buzz, and I'm glad we're plugging it on Hollywood Happy Hour.
Yeah.
It's called Until Forever. It is the story of Michael Boyum. Now, Michael Boyum's not famous or anything. Well, he will be after this movie comes out, I guess. But he was just a normal kid from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Twin Cities, and just a normal Midwest kid. He was a karate instructor. He was... he worked for, what's the name of that pork company? Lloyd's. He worked for Lloyd's back when they were just a startup giving out samples. And, they were a restaurant that were delivering their pork. That's how that company got started. Now it's in every grocery store across the nation. Anyway, He was diagnosed with really crazy leukemia, and it was in the bones and everything, and he got it really young. Most people get it in their 50s, their 60s, but sometimes they see it in kids, and unfortunately he was one of those kids that was diagnosed with it. He got diagnosed with it when he was about 17, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. My memory's starting to go, I guess. So he gets diagnosed with leukemia, and the film's a faith-based film. This kid had a lot of faith in his Christianity, and the whole film follows his journey through finding out that he has cancer to, all the way until the end of his life. And what's interesting about it is it's his story, but the main character is actually his wife, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really... her character is way more interesting than my character, as most leading men who play the leading man character know, like it's always the bad guy in the Bond films who's having more fun. And for stories like this, the more interesting character was the girl who was losing the love of her life,
right,
because he was dying in front of her, And the other subplot is that his brother was suffering from severe depression, was didn't want to take medication and these kind of things, and so he's so depressed he's trying to end his life, and my character's trying to keep his life, and so as brothers they have to hold each other up and keep each other healthy, so the crazy thing about this movie though is his mother, Bonnie, Michael's mother, Bonnie, she wanted to get a movie made about this, and I'm not sure why. I never really asked her, like, why would you want a movie made about your son like this? I think she just really wanted to share the story about his strength, and that's what we got on camera. So that's the good thing about it. It's a very even though it's definitely like bring a box of tissues when you go see it, it's definitely uplifting and it's definitely inspirational and things like that. So she contacted Michael Lynn at Lynn Productions in South Dakota and said, I want to make this movie. And Michael didn't want to do it because he had done faith-based movies before. He kind of wanted to do something else. But he couldn't get the story out of his head, especially after he interviewed everyone and got to know everyone surrounding the story. He couldn't get it out of his head. So he wrote it. And then the craziest part about this, I mean, serendipitous, or if you are a believer in God, like here's one of those things that you're just like, this is more than coincidence. So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I didn't know about Actors Access or LA Casting or Now Casting or Casting Frontier. I didn't know anything. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a manager. I didn't really know anyone in LA. So I went on a place where it is kind of a no-no to go to look for acting work. I went on Craigslist. And it was the first day that I was in Los Angeles, and I see this ad on there saying looking for an actor to play that looks like this kid. I open up the picture and I'm like, that kid looks like me.
Yeah.
So I sent the lady my headshot and resume. She freaks out, calls me immediately. Well, it wasn't immediate. It was like 3 weeks later. I get a phone call. I answer it and I'm like, hello. And she's like, you look like my son. She's so excited. She doesn't introduce herself or anything. And so I didn't know this number. So she's like, you look like my son. I'm like, who is this? Like, you have the wrong number. And she's like, no, you're Stephen Anthony Bailey, right? I said, yeah. You look like my son. I'm like, who is this? And so eventually she calms down. She it's so cute. She gets so excited about everything. So she calms down and tells me who she is, and I go, oh, right on, yeah. And so she's like, I want you to talk to my director, Michael. And so Michael asked me to put some scenes on tape, which you helped me tape that. Do you remember that? Do you remember filming that audition with me?
Don't. Wait, what? What was the scene like?
It was the scene was you were reading for the role of Matt off camera, and he's on the bridge and he's about to jump off, and I'm telling you not to.
Oh,
do you remember that?
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, I don't even remember where we were filming that at. I think it was like, you know what? It was at your old apartment.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right by the McDonald's there. Remember that?
Yeah. I think
we were going off on a tangent here, but anyway, you helped me film it, and I got the role, obviously, and. So, but it's so weird because we didn't film it till last year. So I had to have a lot of faith in them and them in me because, you know, they had one production company that didn't want me to do it because I'm not a huge name. They wanted to get, you know, Benjamin McKenzie or somebody. I don't know. I'm just picking anybody. Shia LaBeouf. Let's get Shia LaBeouf to play this because he's a big name and he's a good actor, blah, blah, blah. So they were like, no, he looks like Michael. We see that he can handle the role and we believe in him. And so they fought for me. Those people came and went, and we got a different production company that, you know, was completely fine with it, and we put the movie together. But it was a long time of, like, funding falling through, and we were going to film in, like, 2012, and then we didn't film in 2012. You know, there was talk of certain celebrities that were looking at the script that turned down the script, and it was very, very hard. And, like, you know, I remember Michael Lynn, the director, came out to LA to visit me, and we went to dinner one night, and we just went over the whole script, and we were working on the script, and he would send me new drafts, and I think we went up to, like, 10 or 11 or 12 drafts or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was given notes, and our production company, Vision Video, was giving notes. And that script came out, and, you know, it was so much better than it was to begin with. And the script I was excited about the first script.
Yeah.
But the script that we filmed was great. And during the filming of that movie, Michael Lynn is one of those directors that wants his actors to speak up, say something if you don't feel like it's right. There were times when we rewrote entire scenes together. We would sit off and be like, this isn't working. All right, let's take like 10 minutes. Let's talk about this. Well, you say this, I'll say, you know, and we reconstructed entire scenes.
Yeah.
And Jamie Anderson plays Matt, and that kid is a mad scientist, and he is amazing in that movie. I mean, he had me on my heels like, all right, I need to really bring it because this kid is going to outshine me if I'm not, you know, careful. I mean, and he's got all that, those great scenes of like, just great scenes that he got to do. And the cool thing about that movie is how authentic it was too. I mean, you know, there were times when I was wearing Michael Boyum, the boy I played. I'm wearing his real clothes. I had his wallet. I had his actual practice nunchucks, and I had him with me at all times. I had his actual Bible on set. We filmed in the Boyum house. We filmed in the Larson household. We filmed in the church they got married in. We got to use their Unity candle. But I got to say, as a method actor, it kind of messed with me at certain points where it was really, really hard because, you know, you're playing a kid who's dying of cancer, and I would like hyperventilate and get anxious. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. Like the producer literally had to force me to eat and like would bring me food, and I was like, I'm trying to not be egotistical and be like, bring me food. I don't want to eat. I wasn't. That's not what I was doing. But she had to bring me food and like, eat it now. And it doesn't help that I'm so like strict about my diet, like you know. And going into the Midwest and trying to get the diet that we're able to have here in LA is impossible. So, but yeah, it was a crazy time. It was a crazy shoot. It was hard, but honestly, it's the best work I've ever done. It's a great movie. It's due out Valentine's Day of 2016. We're going to get a limited theatrical release, and we're trying to get more and more theaters to get interested in this film. So, but yeah, anyone listening, go check it out. Go to untilforeverthemovie.com. And there's, you can see the trailer there, and this is definitely like a grassroots production. I mean, we need word of mouth because we don't have the budget to market the movie the way that Warner Brothers markets Mad Max Part 10 or whatever, So, we definitely need the support of people who see the trailer and believe in the film. And if you want to see it in theaters, we need you to go and fill out. They have a link to a website where you can fill out kind of an application to tell the movie theaters in your area, hey, we want to see this movie. And we've gotten a lot of people, on their theaters saying, hey, bring this film here. And all that stuff matters, It goes even into our acting of, like, the likes on Facebook, the people, your followers on Twitter, Instagram, Vine, whatever, all that stuff matters, and it's worth money essentially, and that's how you get the attention of the bigger people is, getting people through that grassroots movement to believe in your product and champion you, because I'm not some big celebrity, but I have had, this following of people, and it's growing that, I'm very thankful for, because they're pushing for me,
Right.
But yeah, I'm really proud of the movie. I think it's coming together. I actually saw the one of the final cuts. We're we're about ready to do music and sound mix and everything. It's just
that's so exciting.
It is. I mean, and I, being that I had cancer, I didn't cut my hair because I love my hair. So this makeup artist, Rachel Nelson, did my bald caps. And, the thing about bald caps, those are not perfect. So they had to do a lot of, like, CGI, essentially, like visual effects to clean the bald cap up. And if there was a wrinkle in it or an air bubble, they had to smooth that out. Right. So they've done so much work on it. And, it's it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And, again, we don't have the budget to just hire Industrial Light Magic. That's the name of that company, right? We can't afford to be like, hey, fix this for us in 2 days.
Right.
They're like we have to take our time with it. But yeah, I mean, it's just so well done, and for the budget that we did it at, it just seems impossible that we have extras, and we're up on a bridge with fake rain coming down, and we were in a real hospital, and it just. It's crazy, but it's my baby for sure, and I just can't believe how well it came out, especially something I got off Craigslist. Oh man, thank God Bonnie Boyum was so impatient and believed in it so much that she was like, I'm going to go on Craigslist myself and find my own actor. And I'm going to get this movie going. Right. She's still pushing hard. She's out there raising money right now. Yeah. For the film. It's amazing. But I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. And I'm sure once this gets released, it's going to open so many doors for you.
I hope it opens doors, windows, garage doors, car doors. I'll go in anything.
Traps.
Whatever. Just open up. It's
Yeah, especially being the leading part in a movie like this that has the potential to really make it big.
Well, my excitement about it is because one, it was done really well, and it's just it's a real. I mean, I'm being completely objective at this point because as a producer, I've had to see the cut so many times. And coming from helping with forming the script and things like that, I mean, out of all the movies I've done and produced or edited or whatever it is, I mean, structurally and cinematically judging it, I mean, it's pretty sound. It's pretty, even if with me not being in it, if it was somebody else, I'd just be like, it's put together pretty well. But,
and I remember you had shown me I think a clip of it that was several minutes long. And
the first 20 minutes.
The first 20 minutes, yeah.
I forgot I showed you that.
I was incredibly impressed with just everything, everything.
Oh man, it's gotten so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. And just from that, I'm warning you guys, tears will be shed.
Yeah, I feel like we need to.
This is a tearjerker.
I feel like we need to call Kleenex and get a deal where everybody that comes in the theater just gets handed an individual pack of Kleenex.
Right, yeah.
I think
they can advertise with you guys. They can pay you guys. I know.
Kleenex, hook it up right now.
Get your shiz together.
Market my movie.
Yeah.
Please. But it's pretty cool. So Valentine's Day 2016, that's it's a romantic movie, so it's that's the perfect date to release this movie, because I don't want to ever call it a cancer movie. It's not a cancer movie. It's a romantic movie.
Yeah.
It's a romantic drama. Right, is exactly what it is. And yes, it's faith-based, and yes, it's about a kid who's fighting cancer, but it's less about that than it really is about this love story between Michael and Michelle.
Yeah, because even just from the advertising, the few minutes that I've seen of it, the heart of this movie is definitely the relationship between you guys.
Yeah. And Madison Lawler, She's like 20, I think, right now, and she is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's way ahead of where I was at her age. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, the whole cast was like that. You know, we like Jamie Anderson again. He's I think he's a little bit younger than I am by like a year and a half, but he's brilliant as well. And like just James Stevens III. He's a great stand-up comedian who's been on like every stand-up comic show that there is, and he's a worker. But you know, this is like one of his first dramatic roles, and he was very good. And you know, Melina Alves was in it, and she blew me away. Everyone was just like keeping me like, okay, I need to really work hard. I can't lay off even one day. You know, they were like, no, bring it. You know, but they bring you up. You know, and the thing that I'm excited about is, you know, these faith-based movies do have an audience. I mean, you know, like God Is Not Dead and The Fault in Our Stars blew up at the box office. So hopefully we can, you know, follow suit a little bit. But anyway, yeah. So Until Forever. Look it up. Check it out. It's on my IMDb page. Check the website out.
Cool. All right, and now I want to ask you, since as an actor, how did this all begin for you? How did you catch the acting bug? What was it that instigated this passion of yours?
I think the best way to say how I caught the bug, I guess, was accidentally. My mom was raising me by herself, and so I had to go to daycare a lot. And also I was babysat a lot by other people. And what babysitters do is they put you in front of a TV and they pop in VHS tapes. And I always I never thought of myself as a kid. I was like, I'm not watching Barney. Show me Scarface. You know, and I'm not kidding you. I saw Scarface for the first time when I was like 8 years old. I should not have been watching that. But for some reason, as an 8-year-old kid, I was able to look at that and like, oh, it's a magic trick. He's not really killing those people, and that's Al Pacino. That's not Tony Montana. Right. I could see that was Al Pacino. I knew that was Tom Hanks in Big. That wasn't Joshua Baskin. You know, I was able to understand what an actor was.
Right.
And, you know, so when I was in, like, daycare and things like that, I was in, like, you know, the little preschool pageant or whatever you want to call it, and I was, like, the little shepherd boy. And in first grade, we did Chicken Little, and I was the dog. I don't even know if there's a dog character in there, if they just made it up and put a mask on me or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember being mad, though, that I wasn't Chicken Little. So even then, on that first grade play, I was ambitious, and I was like, no. I'm the actor in this group. Why am I not Chicken Little?
Yeah.
And then in third grade, with some friends, we did this play called The Hairy Man for a talent show, and we won. And so I was like, oh, cool. And then it kind of just went away. I mean, you know, I used to do stuff like I had a talk boy from Home Alone, and I would record my voice and stuff like that. But, you know, I didn't really have any creative outlets. And I didn't even know what a community theater was until I was like 18. You know, my mom is artistic to a point. Like, she is a wonderful drawer, and she writes poetry and things like that. And she, you know, she likes movies and TV, so we would watch a lot of movies and TV. So really my only focus was like, oh, I want to do movies and TV, but like we couldn't afford a camcorder. My grandfather had one, but he would never let me touch it because he was scared I would break it. And then by the time I was old enough to use it, he broke it. So thanks, I was like, awesome, thanks Pops. You know, so but then 7th grade comes around and they're like, hey, you have to pick an elective. I was like, what the hell's an elective? They're like, it's like an extra class. So do you want to do like gym, or you could do like music, or you could do art, or you could do drama? I was like, drama? What is that? And they're like, oh, it's like acting. Yeah, I'll do that one. Let's do that one. So that's, I like started going there, and then I was like, these classes suck. You know, we were in inner city middle schools in South Bend. And, but then high school came around. And I was going to like drama club after school, and I was in drama class during the day, and then the school play comes around and they're like, hey, don't get your hopes up or anything because freshmen don't really get cast, but we're doing auditions, come out. So I auditioned and I got like the 3rd lead.
Nice.
And everyone was pissed. And so by sophomore year I was like elected like drama club president.
Yeah.
And nice. I was the lead, like the lead in the next play. And then, we had some trouble because our drama teacher, Mr. Kaus, who was, he was somebody who pushed me, and, I gotta, like, give nothing but thanks to this guy, because, like, he really, really pushed me, and believed in me. He picked me out, and he was like, okay, I see, like, how much you care about this stuff. And,
right.
So I was drama club president all the way through, and then, like, I was voted most likely to be a movie star, or famous, or whatever it is in the yearbook, and so that was cool. Or, most likely to be a comedian. I was definitely like a class clown.
Yeah.
But I was also very quiet and shy. But it was like, I remember doing the play, and then you're walking through the halls in high school between classes, and people like, oh, I saw the play, you were so funny. And I was like, I'm funny.
Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome. Cool. Because, like, in high school, I didn't get my growth spurt until, like, senior year. I didn't get my growth spurt until I was, like, 19, you know what I mean? Like, I grew so slowly and reached 5'7.5" and just, like, stopped. So, like, freshman year at high school, I'm, like, 5 foot.
Yeah.
So I was really good at basketball, like, really, really good. But, like, I was like, I'm too little.
Yeah.
And I'm white. No, but, like, I wanted to play, but, like, I was awkward like most kids are at that age. So I was like, I didn't believe in myself. And, if I hadn't done theater in high school and gotten into acting, I mean, I don't know where I'd be. I probably would have spun out of control and, been in jail or something, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But, so from there, though, my senior year of high school, the director is directing our play, and he was like, you should come down to the theater. And I was like, what theater? We have a theater in South Bend? He's like, there's like 5 of them. I'm like, what? So he invites me down. He casts me in the show. Oh, I did the summer show after high school too. Anyway, so then I started going to South Bend Civic Theater, which was our community theater, and it was like 4, 5, 6 blocks from my mom's house. And I'm like, this has been here the whole time? And it sucked, but I started getting, like, addicted, and I was doing like 7, 8 shows a year. I mean, back to back to back.
Yeah.
And people really liked what I was doing, so they just kept like, hey, will you be in this play? We'll give you this part. Like, just handing me parts. And I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's work. I was driving to Chicago. I'm from South Bend, Indiana, so Chicago's like 90 minutes when you drive as fast as I do. I was driving to Chicago all the way, and like I mentioned earlier, going to auditions for student films and, like, doing stand-up comedy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was very ambitious. I bought myself a camcorder and started making, like, YouTube videos and stuff, and I studied a couple of years at Indiana University South Bend in the theater department. Dropped out because I was just I felt I was learning so much more just working and doing, like, background work and whatever, and I was making some money acting. I was part of a professional troupe for the South Bend Civic Theater, and we would go around and do, like, Robin Hood for schools. And I'd make money, and I'd be like, yeah, I don't need to be in school pulling ropes for people. I was such an egotistical bastard at that point. So then, and I was a dance teacher for a while, and then I eventually moved out to California. I was, thank goodness, I had friends here. A couple of my friends, Jason Matlock and Lamont Hendricks, who were both actor filmmakers, and they were already living out here for almost a year, and they were calling me, like, Lamont was like, I saw Tim Burton today. I was like, get the fuck. And I'm like, I made, $80 slaving at my customer service job, and I'm like barely acting anymore.
Yeah.
And because I had kind of run the gamut of everything and burned myself out, and I had just left the dance studio, and so I was like, you know what, if they're doing it, I can do it. Because I used to make short films with these guys, you know, and I was, in my mind, I was like, but I'm the one. I was the one who was, leading the pack, and then, like, I don't know if it was confidence or what it was, but I felt like I was falling behind in the grand scheme of things, and I was about to turn 24, and I was like, I wanted to move to California when I was 18. And I'm like, this is damn near 6 years later. Get out of here.
Yeah.
So I packed up, and I went to California, and I lived with them. We were in Echo Park for a while, and So I mean, did I answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of how it all, kind of got like started for me.
Yeah.
But Jason's actually in the room right now.
I just want to say that was the best day of my damn life when you drove your ass across country and moved in with us. That's all I want to say.
Well, it was crazy. We were what? There was so it was Joey and you and Lamont and me.
I forgot about Joey.
In a
Joey.
2-bedroom apartment.
A 2-bedroom apartment in Echo Park, on Rampart Boulevard.
On Rampart Boulevard.
Not one of the safest streets.
And I remember you and Lamont shared a room.
Yeah.
And then Joey would not share a room, so he slept on the couch.
We're calling this man out. Yeah, he slept on the couch.
Call him out. I don't care. I'll tell him I called him out.
Yeah. So I mean, he was on the couch, but we made it work, man. And we were together there for over a year.
I think it was about 2 years. It was
almost
about that
2
2-year
years.
mark.
No, it was the 2-year mark, and that's when
Our
I
lease
met
was up.
Shannon, and I
Shannon and
moved to Studio City.
You moved to Studio City. Lamont moved to I don't know where.
Pasadena? Is that where he's at?
Highland Park or...
Isn't that in Pasadena, though?
I don't know. No, it's south of Pasadena.
Oh, but it's like Pasadena area, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, he needs to move on this side of the hill. I'm calling Lamont out now. You need to move on this side of the hill because I'm not driving out there. It's not happening. But yeah, so I mean, it was definitely an adventure, and it was hard, getting started out here. But it's so funny when I look at like the grand scheme of things in how it all came together and where I think it's going, where I hope it's going. You have no control over that, but like, looking at kind of how everything was put together, it was like, I don't know, it's just very interesting because it never turned out how I thought it was going to turn out,
Mm-hmm.
but it's funny because you always think, oh, well, I just want to do this and then I'll be fine. But that end point keeps moving and growing every single day. You go, well, I want to do this, and this now. Mm-hmm. I'll add this onto my whole bucket list of what I want to do in my career. And it keeps growing and growing. And to me, I'm like, I'm never going to stop. Mm-hmm. It's never going to stop growing. Yeah. And, I may not be where I thought I was going to be by this time, but I'm also, Barney, that's Barney flapping his ears. I'm also very proud of like my body of work because I worked so fucking hard at this, Mm-hmm. And anyway, I remember as a kid, I would go on IMDb. I was obsessed with it, and I would look up actors' careers, and I would find like actors with, kind of like the same credits we have, and go, man, they must be filthy rich. They must live in big mansions. And now that I'm here, I'm like, nah, man, nah.
They're just like us.
Yeah. That's all it is. I mean, so, your perspective changes. But to me, even though it's not as glamorous as maybe you imagine it when you're a kid, it's still like, I can't believe like this is my life sometimes, Do you feel that way?
Yeah, no, every now and then I have to stop and like go, whoa, like,
it's weird.
I'm doing this. Like,
yeah. It's almost like you do think sometimes, like, am I going to wake up at some point? And I've had, like, a 15-year dream of, like, oh, sorry, you're still 9 years old and you have no options. But, yeah, that's kind of how it got started.
Yeah. Cool. All right, and, since we don't have a ton of time left, I have this one last question for you. I want you to talk about James Dean.
Holy
Being
cow.
your friend, I know how important he is to you, and
wow, you're really hitting all the big points
so
here.
I'd like for this last question, I'd like for you to talk about this.
Did I ask you on the last podcast who your favorite actors were? Did I ask you that?
Not really, but it's fine because there's not really one that I feel as passionate about the way you do with James Dean.
Fair enough.
Because I have no one. So.
It's so funny, like how that whole thing happened. I mean. I remember growing up in Indiana, you know who James Dean is because Indiana likes to celebrate the celebrities that have come from there. Or, celebrity is a bad word. I don't like that word. But people who have a lot of notoriety, Mm-hmm. So I remember seeing the kid's face a lot. And I didn't, I wasn't really exposed to the movies. I think my great-grandma used to play old VHS tapes, and I think she had played East of Eden. She wouldn't have played Rebel Without a Cause or Giant. So I think it must have been East of Eden that I saw. And I remember like looking at him and I must have been like 9 or 10 at this point. And I remember looking at him going, oh wow, like he's a kid, and he's a movie star.
Yeah.
And then one night I was in the basement, and I've had like insomnia since a boy, and so it's like 3 a.m, and on comes the biography on the Biography channel of James Dean, and it blew me away. I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's who I want to be. I finally found like the guy that the kid I could relate to and say I want his career.
Yeah.
I just without the car accident.
Right,
but
right.
So I mean, I started watching his movies, and then I discovered that he had this. What drives me crazy is when people go, James Dean, who only starred in 3 feature films. That's not true at all. He was in the actor studio. He did off-Broadway plays. He did Broadway shows. He did like 30-some TV appearances, commercials. He did other feature films where he had like under 5s with like Dean Martin, and one's called Fixed Bayonets where he's the soldier, and like he has this whole other career that people don't realize he had. Anyway, so I've seen everything that is available, but because it was back in the 50s when they did TV, they would do like a live like theater presentation, and they were one-and-offs.
Yeah.
And they didn't keep the footage back then.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They couldn't just keep them digitally. They so they would dispose of the film.
Right.
But I've seen everything that there is. Yeah, and I mean, I don't really know. It just seems like kind of he's just always been there. And just always been my favorite. I just think, he was I don't know how he did it. He was able, and the acting styles change, and this day and age we're very realistic and very subtle with our acting, where if you look back then, it wasn't so much realistic and subtle as it was very, very expression. I don't want to say it was bigger. It is bigger. The acting is bigger. But there's something cool about that. There's something romantic in how big their acting was back then.
Right,
because back then I felt like those movie stars were so big. And now it's like, you watch and no offense to Mark Wahlberg, but you watch Mark Wahlberg and you're like, yeah, he sounds like he would if he was on the street next to you. You know what I mean? Our acting style has definitely changed. But, I just feel like he was always there. And, I mean, being from Indiana, blue-eyed, a blonde-haired kid who has a rebellious streak in him, and I could definitely relate to his life growing up without one of his parents, and having a rocky relationship with the parent that you still have. I definitely related to that. I related to the ambition that he had, and wanting to experience everything life has to offer, and not just being an actor, but he was a painter, and he wrote poetry, and he loved photography, and he loved film making. He loved racing cars and bullfighting, and he just had all these interests, and that I was like, yeah, that's me. Okay, cool. So I'll just be my generation's James Dean, no problem. It's not as easy as it looks. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely still my favorite. I think he always will be. And I've written about it on the blog, and I've tried to analyze it a bit and figure out more of why, but it's something that just is. You know what I mean? He just is my favorite. I just, for some reason, have some kind of molecular spiritual connection thing. I've got so many stories of just like weird semi-creepy things that have happened, to where me and my girlfriend Shannon are like, oh, there's James, he was there, he just made this happen, or whatever it is. I can get into that another time, but which is all, they're just weird stories. But he's definitely my favorite, and I think my favorite performance he ever did was in East of Eden, for sure. But also there's this performance in this TV show he did called Something for an Empty Briefcase. I thought he was brilliant in that. Brilliant. Yeah. He knew how to work the camera, man. He definitely did. But James Dean. All right. So now just give me a wrap up.
Sure. What should I say?
All right, that's it. Thank you or whatever.
Okay. All right, well, that's it for the second episode of Hollywood Happy Hour. Thank you so much, Stephen Bailey, for answering my questions. It was very insightful, very educational.
Did you learn anything new about me today at all?
Oh, no, I know all this stuff about you.
Because I talk about myself so much. Like for you, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. You're like, no, you've said all of this to me many times. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm glad it's on record now so that I never have to hear it again.
But yeah, no, I'm sure a lot of actors out there will be picking up a lot of good info.
I wanted to go more in depth, but we ran out of time, and I'm very long-winded. But I'm sure as we go through the podcast, I'm going to keep telling stories that I didn't tell. So and you as well. I mean, I'm sure people are going to know more than they probably should know about us by the time we're done doing this podcast. Right. But yeah, so that's it then. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So that's it. Episode 2 is in the can. That's a wrap.
Woohoo!
Check us out next week. We'll be releasing episode 3 of the Hollywood Happy Hour. We actually didn't consume any alcohol this time. I'm drinking coffee and you're drinking water.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened is it was noon when we started, so
that's true.
No day drinking today. Yeah. We got stuff to do. But yeah, so next week we'll be back. We won't be interviewing each other. We'll actually interview someone else together with them, interviewing them.
And yeah, in the same room as us.
Right.
Sharing one mic.
Yes.
But you didn't have to know that.
Hopefully, we'll cut that out. So we'll interview somebody else, and we will talk a bit more in the style of talking about a certain art form. So whatever this artist does that we invite in, we'll interview him about his life, of course. We'll talk about current events. But then what I want to do, I think, what we want to do, is talk about whatever art form they do. So let's say that they are a painter. We'll talk about painting and what it's like to be a painter in this day and age. That's what this whole idea of this podcast is about. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and obviously we're on SoundCloud. Eventually we'll probably jump up on the iTunes. And yeah, so thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you next time on the Hollywood Happy Hour.